Bing bong. Let's go. Where'd we leave off? Margot woke up, feeling sweaty. The air conditioning must have stopped working. Voluntarily or because your mom was up to some weird shit? She got up and walked past the kitchen to the hallway. She checked the bathroom, but it was in use. Margot returned to her room. She needed a distraction. Last night, it was hard for her to fall asleep. She kept thinking about the photograph. The photograph. I'm trying to remember what the photograph was. Oh, yes. The like, soul photograph that, the cat-turned girl took, like, a soul photo of us and determined that we don't have a soul and that it, in fact, probably belongs to a demon? Clara's assertion was that she was soulless, thinking about it all. It was the same feeling in her chest when she got accepted to the college she wanted. She twisted at the fabric of hem of her shirt. Why was she like this? Why did she want these things to be real? The things Clara told her only made her look forward to what would happen next. She shook her head. She had to stop thinking like that. It wasn't right. This was dangerous. She had to be calculated with her risks. She had to plan ahead. Think about school. Think about work. She couldn't be gullible. She realized she hadn't heard from her private school friends in a while. It'd be better to focus on. She pulled out her laptop and signed in. There was a group chat with everyone coordinating 4th of July plans. Alejandra, I'm excited to meet up. Can everyone make it? I don't think I'll be able to make it. Miss you guys. Aw, Margot, I miss you. Excited to hear about California soon. One of her friends messaged her individually. Karina, how have you been? I hope your family has been alright. Yeah, peachy. Wondering since you've been quiet in the group chat. I've been okay, just busy with work. Been slacking on checking my messages, lol. There was one more unread message. Wanted to ask again if you know Victor Silva. Oh yeah, the Helen who said that she thinks we're related. My mom passed away a few years ago, so I only want closure. I don't want to bother you. Let me know if I have the wrong person. Margot stared at her screen. What could she say? At some point, she had to try again to ask her mother. Margot checked the bathroom again. This time it was free. She went in. Margot looked at herself in the bathroom mirror. Her hair looked matted from sweat. She hopped in the shower and scrubbed away, comparing it to the dorm showers. Here, the same rusted pliers and large metal can were still in the bathroom. After all these years, the tub knobs were still broken, and the toilet still had to be manually flushed. Well, it beat wearing flip-flops in the shower and walking down the dorm hallway in a wet towel. Through the running water, she heard footsteps. They stopped outside the door. The doorknob rattled. Margot didn't think to lock it. You need to finish your shower. I can't. There's still soap. Now! Turn off the water. I can't! I'm not done. Her mother yanked back the shower curtain, startling Margot. Margot leaned against the wall, scrambling to cover herself with her hands. What are you doing? Her mother's expression did not change. I can't afford you running water day and night. Her mother reached for the handle. Margot reached for it as well, their arms colliding. The pliers slid off the edge and into the tub, jabbing into her foot. So, you're back to your old habits. This is your last warning. If you hit me ever again, I will call the police. Blood trickled from her foot, mixing into the water. Her mother looked down, lip twisting with revulsion. Clean that up. I'm not touching that. She couldn't stay here. She couldn't stay here. I could go for a walk. She couldn't stay here. I could text someone? Margot carefully placed a bandage on her foot. Clara mentioned wanting to go to the library, right? And Beck always seemed happy to see Margot. Sure, let's go with Clara. Margot was apprehensive about talking to Clara. They didn't seem to get along, but they were going to be around each other for a while. Margot had to try and find some common ground. Maybe this would help. Margot looked around her room. She meekly whispered.
What?
Margot turned to see Clara seated on her bed, legs crossed. Can we go for a walk? We could go to the library. Clara looked away for a moment, considering it. She nodded. We can. Clara carefully placed a pile of books on the table in the library study room. Margot looked up from her sketchbook. I don't know what I expected. Not a lot of useful information. Yeah, I didn't expect the library to have a dedicated occult section. Clara sighed. She sat down and flipped through the first book. There were books at the store I went to for the courts. We could check there as well? Yes. Margot quietly drew as Clara read next to her. What? What did you mean by nothingness?
Well...
Nothing can be truly destroyed. Just like everything else, souls are a sort of energy. But if a demon has it, then they're using that energy. So you won't be able to move on to an afterlife or the next life. Okay. How am I not dead without one? What is this energy? Most likely, the demon is simply allowing you to stay alive. It's an amount of power over reality. Typically, everything has the same amount of energy, but there are beings who can collect it. The more they have, the more they can manipulate reality. Does that clear things up? Clara drummed her fingers on the table. What I'm thinking is that we either harvest new energy or get your soul back, but I have limited experience. Margot rested her chin on her hand. There were so many things she wanted to ask, but was too afraid. Clara hadn't been too forthcoming, and Margot doubted she would open up about how she knew about demons or souls. What were these beings? What was a demon, anyway? The devil? Or a little red ghoul with a pitchfork? She still felt skeptical that any of this was real. You still haven't told me exactly what's going on with you. There isn't much to tell. I needed a blood bond with a human to be human. Huh. Margot jotted down some notes beside her drawing. Maybe this was something she could look up on her own. There was a knock on the window of the study room. Margot turned to look. Jade stood there, bag slung over her shoulder, waving to Margot. She gestured to the door, and Margot nodded. She came in. Hey! Starting your studying early? Margot looked at the pile of books. Clara continued reading, undisturbed. Jade really didn't seem to notice her. Nah, just reading up on some stuff for fun. Ooh, what about? Margot looked at the pile. World religions. Anything cool? Yeah, just a lot of stuff that's new to me. What are you up to? I'm heading back home now, but I was in the piano room. Have you seen it yet? I think they added it last year. That's cool. Yeah, I like having something a little nicer than a keyboard to practice on. Jade checked her phone. Sorry, I have to head out soon. Let's hang out sometime, okay? Sure, see ya. Jade smiled and left. Piano room? Margot turned back to Clara. How did Jade not see her? Was she really there? Was Clara even real? think I need a break anyway.
Huh?
You play the piano?
Yes.
Clara sat down in front of the piano. She tentatively tapped at the keys. It's been so long. I don't know if I can still play. Doesn't hurt to try. I guess not. Clara slowly put her hands in position. She played something to warm up a bit. It was noticeably jumbled. She let out a frustrated sigh. This is so annoying. It's okay. I can't play any instruments. So, anything is impressive to me. Is that so? Yeah. I can sing, but not that well. How did you learn to play the piano? My mother taught me. She expected me to put on a performance. For who? People at church. How did you learn to sing? I took a couple of classes when I went to private school. I wanted to try sooner, but my parents didn't like hearing me sing at home. I started drawing instead since it's quieter. I see. She tapped at the keys again.
How about I play a song and you sing?
I like that idea. Clara started playing a bit. Margot listened, trying to figure out the song. Is this Twinkle, Twinkle Little Star? Clara gave Margot a look.
You said you're bad at singing, so I wanted to give you an easy one.
Ah, and not because you're relearning the piano.
That's not how the lyrics go.
Okay. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Clara played the song a few times. Each iteration was an improvement. Margot looked over, noticing Clara smiling to herself as she played. What was Clara's life like before, Margot wondered. Why did she leave it all behind? There ended the last playthrough with a small flourish.
That was pretty good.
Yes, I'd like to come back and practice.
We can do that. It was a relief to Margot to see that there was a more relaxed side to Clara, and everything was resolved. Could they be friends? Margot closed the door to her room. She let out a sigh of relief. Her mother didn't seem to be around. After a while, Margot lay down. Clara sat at the head of the bed, leaning against the wall. Margot looked up at her
Hey.
face. You're still here. Usually, you disappear by now.
Yes?
I'm keeping an eye on you. They quietly looked at each other. I wanted to ask.
What was your life like before?
Oh. Clara looked
I
away.
think there are things we have in common.
Like what?
Your mother reminds me of mine, except mine was very religious and very preoccupied with my health.
Were you sick?
No.
Another strange dream. Margot wondered why she suddenly had so many lucid dreams. She thought it had been because of Clara, but she didn't see her this time. The other difference is that this time, Margot didn't feel she was simply sitting up in her room. This was the living room. It didn't feel like the actual place. This one was larger, distorted. The lights were off, but the curtains on the door and window were open. By moonlight, Margot could see the details of the room. There was the sound of crickets in the distance. Were her parents
Hello?
around?
Mom? Dad?
Margot shook her head. Out of habit, she called for her father. Will that ever change? Sure, let's go back to the bathroom. It's where we started our morning, so maybe there's something to it. Margot went to the hallway. She turned the knob on the bathroom door. Her tentative touch seemed to be enough for the door to open. Unlike the living room, it was dark. The window was eerily bright, but did not illuminate the space. We were alone in the bathroom. All of the other doors seemed to be closed. Was she really having a dream about being all alone in a locked-up home? Margot slid her hand along the inside wall, searching for the light switch. She felt the familiar shape and flipped it. The light bulb buzzed, flashed for a moment, and popped. There would be no light. Margot looked closer and stepped inside. Something about the shapes in the bathroom seemed strange. There was the sink, the tub, and the toilet in their usual spots, but something was blocking the tub.
Are you in here?
Margot squinted her eyes. For some reason, Margot always felt uneasy about the bathroom. When she was little, she used to think it was because it was haunted. She noticed a strange smell. It started off musty, but the smell developed into something horrid. Margot held her hand to her nose. Bloody. Or maybe like rotting meat. Margot felt cold. She stepped back.
Mom?
There was no response.
Dad? Hello?
Margot kept backing up. There was pressure on her ankle. She looked down. Fingers. Raw, pulsing fingers wrapped around her ankle. She yanked her leg away. She needed to run. What was that? What was that in the bathroom? Its grip tightened. It pulled, slamming her to the ground. She reached out, clawing around for something to hold on to. I gotta turn this game. Oh. Yeah. Her arm scraped against the plywood on the floor. She held onto the doorframe, trying not to get dragged into the bathroom, into the tub. She squeezed her eyes shut. She didn't want to see it.
Please! Mom! Dad! Help!
Something grabbed her hands. She couldn't maintain her grip on the doorframe. She didn't want to look. To see the thing wrapping around her hands. Her arms were yanked forward hard. She felt the pressure on her ankle release. Margot scrambled to her feet, opening her eyes. She ran to the living room. She could leave through the front door, but now something was by the door. There was a sound behind her, coughing and retching. Margot turned. It was... more people were here. There was a click at the door. Was it the lock? Yay! Sunday morning! It was still dark outside. Margot could barely see around the room. There was arguing. She held still, listening. Clara was beside the bed, her arms stiff at her sides, hands balled into tight fists. Margot followed Clara's gaze to her bedroom doorway. Beck?
You shouldn't be here.
Her face was a low growl. You shouldn't be able to see me.
What are you?
Mmm.
What do you want with Margot?
Clara.
How do you know my name?
Ugh.
You're that cat from Margot's neighborhood, aren't you? I knew I had a weird feeling that night.
Don't change the subject. Beck shook her head. Clara looked over at Margot. I know you're awake. Margot sat up, focusing on Beck. It felt unreal seeing her standing at the end of her bed. The way the light from outside hit her face made her presence seem that much more ominous. Clara seemed to be blocking Beck from getting too close to Margot. Beck looked past Clara, staring at Margot. I think our blood bond is something more serious. Blood bond? You need to leave. Don't get involved. Beck looked at Clara. You would prefer that. Have her isolated, right? She turned back to Margot. Are you okay here? You keep pulling out loose hair, asking me to park around the block. You can come stay over at my place. We can talk about this more there. I really don't think it's safe to stay around this witch and the thing you saw. This witch, Clara scoffed. That thing was a very dangerous ghost. So it wasn't just a nightmare. She had been in danger. You need to help Margot get rid of it. Get out. This is a personal matter. Beck shrugged, her attitude casual. I'll let Margot decide. Margot glanced between them. Her brain was still foggy from waking up, but she trusted Clara. After today, she felt like Clara was starting to open up. Clara would know more about how to protect Margot from a ghost. On the other hand, Beck was an old friend of hers. And she was right. Margot didn't feel safe at home. She did want an escape to somewhere normal. But how did Beck know about Clara or her mother pulling her hair? How did Beck get in her room? Ugh, I do want this girl out of here. You know what? Stay at Beck's. Can the three of us talk about it at Beck's? I feel like, since Beck was in my dream, Clara frowned. Go with her, then. I don't want to be part of that conversation. Beck nodded to the doorway. All right, then. Margot followed Beck. She glanced at Clara. When she caught her eye, Clara looked away. Margot felt that whatever goodwill she had finally had with Clara was slipping away. Ugh. Slowly, with the sunlight from the window, Margot woke up. They had driven to Beck's house. Margot went to the guest room and fell asleep almost instantly. What exactly had happened the night before? Clara had been in her dreams before, but Beck? And what was the thing she saw? Margot sat up. She got up and went across the hall. She knocked at the door. There were some muffled grunts. Yeah, come in. Margot opened the door and walked in. Beck lay in bed. Looked like she hadn't moved except to look towards the door.
Hey.
Sorry, things are weird. Margot anxiously shifted from one foot to the other. Why were you in my room? How? Yeah, that's really the question. House? Did you break into my house? I guess it wouldn't be hard since it was a crappy trailer, but I don't remember. All I remember is seeing someone attack you, wanting to talk to you, and then parking in the driveway back here. Strange. Strange. I see. Margot felt a chill. Do you remember arguing with Clara? Beck looked at the ceiling. Sort of? What did that mean, that Beck didn't remember? She was so nonchalant about it. Was this the right decision? How are you feeling? I mean, you know, ghosts or not, girl needed to get out of that house.
No.
Pretty uneventful after we went back to sleep. Beck nodded a little to herself. I'm happy to hear. She propped herself up on her elbow. You want to talk about what happened in your dream?
Yeah.
Alright. Let's get some breakfast. There's a cafe nearby. Beck started to get up. Wait. She turned back to Margot. Aren't you freaked out? I guess I expected a bigger reaction after seeing the ghost and the stuff about the cat. I thought that I've been hallucinating or the stress is getting to me or something. Beck looked pensive. Things haven't exactly been normal for me either. Ever since our blood bond, I've been able to see things. See things? Yeah, I thought it was stress too. I was so young, my parents separated, I started moving a lot. Like, maybe I invented these imaginary things to cope with it. Sometimes it was like something from a horror movie. But it keeps happening. Like you said, I didn't know if I was hallucinating or what. Is it messed up that I'm glad weird things are happening to you too? So that I know it's real and we can talk about it together? Shared delusion? I wouldn't even go try and say it. I don't know no French. Could be worse. Margot and Beck found a spot in the back of the cafe out of earshot of the other patrons. They curled up on an old plush couch. Beck took a sip of her coffee. They both stared off. After leaving Beck's bedroom, they hadn't spoken. Margot's mouth was dry. It was starting to fully hit Margot how drained she felt. She suspected that Beck felt the same. In the corner of the shop, a television played the news. It was a follow-up to the report Margot's mother was watched days ago. There were more suspected grave robberies. The reporter hypothesized a new satanic panic on the horizon. Beck cleared her throat. Clara said there was a ghost. And that it was dangerous. Do you know why a ghost would be after you? Not really. I don't understand why it was in the bathroom. None of it makes sense. Yeah. We were able to pull you away from it. It was dragging you in there. It smelled so bad. I didn't know ghosts could have a smell. Margot turned to Beck. So, how were you able to see her? How did you know she was the cat? Is that what you were talking about earlier? Yeah. I think I can see what you see sometimes. Like what? Well, Clara, and, your eye. I saw when he, Margot tensed up. Sorry. Margot grimaced. What else had she seen? I think it all goes back to the blood bond. I guess that's also why you were able to be in my dream? Yeah. But I don't think it was just a dream. It felt more solid, I guess. What else could it be? I don't know. Margot shook her head. Don't little kids do that stuff all the time? I feel like things have only been getting worse since I came home. What else has been going on? Earlier this week, Clara mentioned something about a demon, too. She took this weird photo of me. I guess I don't have a soul?
What?
A demon? Margot buried her face in her hands. I've been trying to just go to work and mind my business. Beck sighed. She rubbed Margot's back. Do you know who or what Clara is?
No.
How did you meet her? What happened? Margot chuckled darkly. Wouldn't you already know everything? Not everything. Margot focused on the feeling of Beck's hand, the slow circular motion of it across her back. I'm afraid to sleep tonight. What if I see the ghost again? Do I have to be afraid every night? She didn't see the ghost again last night. Margot stirred around the food on her plate. Was it out of her control? She could hope it was a random one-off nightmare, that it seemed more significant than it actually was. She took a bite of her food. Who was that ghost? Could that be random too? She sighed to herself. At least there was a silver lining to this. Beck could see Clara. Margot was starting to worry that maybe Clara wasn't there. Back in the office, Erica sat down next to Margot. I didn't have any luck finding that book for Gina. She handed Margot a library card. Maybe you could see if you can find it for her? Margot pocketed the card. Sure, I can look after work. Margot sat down with the book. Why did Gina want to read Bardo Fodal? Margot skimmed the first page. The name translated to Liberation Through Hearing During the Intermediate State. From her cursory reading, it seemed to be an in-depth guide to death and rebirth. Margot furrowed her eyebrows. Looks like a different version than the one in the shed. Margot bit her lip. You need to give some warning before you just appear. I didn't find much last time. Margot rubbed her arm. Clara was not happy with her decision last night. She was surprised that Clara was even talking to her now. I'm sorry about yesterday. It wasn't personal or something. I felt overwhelmed. In the future, listen to me so we don't get killed. Margot nodded, but was fairly sure Clara did take it personally. Clara gestured to the row of computers on the other side of the library. Are those microfiche readers? I don't think so. They're just normal computers. Oh, you could do your research there. Clara strolled over to the computers, Margot trailing behind. Clara sat down awkwardly at the computer. Margot stood to the side.
Okay.
I've never touched a computer before. Really? Clara looked uncomfortable. I told you, it's been 18 years. Oh, right. It was hard to remember, considering Clara looked Margot's age. Well, do you know how to use a typewriter? Yes. Do you know about the internet? Clara considered the question for a moment. I read an article about it when it was new. Margot nodded. She pulled up a browser window. You can pretty much find anything on the internet. Oh, you could use my laptop at home. Would that help?
Yes.
Margot pulled the keys out of her bag. She'd been dreading seeing her mother again. She knew it would happen eventually. Margot slid the door open. Her mother waited expectantly in the living room, papers in hand. Look at this! She shoved the papers in Margot's hand. Margot looked at it. It was some sort of bar graph. What is this? Do you see a pattern? I don't understand. The water bill is double when you're home. If you're going to use water like that, you'll need to start contributing. I can't. I'm saving up for college. Then you need to figure something out. Her mother pulled the papers back out of her hands. Margot suppressed a sigh and went to her room. Margot lay on her bed. In the dark, she stared up at the ceiling. Get out of here, girly pop. Hey, thanks for letting me stay over. Anytime. I just feel bad I couldn't help you more. It's okay. Do you need anything? I don't know. Thanks for checking. Don't worry. I'll make sure nothing bad happens to you. Was work okay? I picked up a book for one of the residents. It's about preparing for death, I think. Feel like everything around me has been about death lately. Same here. Because of me? No, other stuff. Ever had a near-death experience? Lol. No, but at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if I do. What about you? Yeah, I don't recommend it. Ooh, ominous. Ominous, ominous, ominous. Margot had never seen this apartment before. It looked older, almost like visiting a grandparent's home. The decor made her think of the 80s. Oh, we must be in Clara's house. Margot pulled down a panel of the Venetian blinds covering the window. The plastic gave way and bent in half under her finger. Outside was a city downtown with unfamiliar brick apartments. A few blocks away, Margot could see what she assumed to be a lush city park. This definitely wasn't Arizona. I miss playing music together, like we're a family band. I don't understand why he left us, why he left me alone. It sounded like a telephone receiver was right by Margot's ear. Or is this Beck? She didn't recognize the voice. Margot wondered who this person was. Her thoughts drifted. She wondered what it felt like to play music together. At home, she wasn't allowed to sing, let alone play an instrument. Was it like singing? It seemed strange to Margot that she was dreaming of a place she'd never seen before. It could be a regular dream, then. She walked around the room, brushing her fingertips over the tables and couch as she passed by them. This time, it seemed she was alone. The voice she heard felt more like a recording than another person in the apartment. Do you prefer being alone? Yeah. Margot liked it better this way. No ghosts, no demons, no one yelling at her about dishes and water bills. Her hair and eyes undamaged. And there was no Clara and Beck. Margot sighed. She didn't know what to make of these people suddenly entering her life. She wanted a simple, quiet summer, but instead, it seemed like she spent the past week or so fulfilling their demands on top of everything else. This was way different than I expected. Looking through the shelves, the kitchen seemed borderline empty. Margot wondered if the people who lived there were struggling. It's kind of creepy. She's not even 10 years older than me. She has this vacant stare. I feel like he does now, too. Margot was a little afraid to check the bathroom. But in this place, the door was wide open. The lights were on and sunlight shined in from outside. She peeked in. Empty. But droplets of blood trailed along the floor from the door to the sink. I want to go home. What was this place to the girl? After seeing the rest of the apartment, Margot wondered if the bedroom would feel as abandoned and empty. She tried the door. Locked. But this was all that was left, right? Why was Margot seeing this place? Was it being shown to her? If so, by who? She looked behind her. Whose voice was she hearing? Margot wondered if it was a memory or someone far away. Tuesday morning. Gina gently held the book in her hands. Thank you so much, Margot. I'll start reading this today. Margot shifted around a bit. She wanted to ask Gina why she wanted the book, but the question felt too direct. It's about Buddhism, right? That's right. It's a Tibetan Buddhist text. Are you Buddhist? Gina smiled and leaned closer. Between you and me, I don't know what I am. I turned 90 this year. Felt like it was about time I start figuring things out. Margot smiled back. I'd like to hear about what you're reading, if that's okay. Margot thought about the group message. It was only Saturday, but already felt like weeks ago. Even if she couldn't meet up with her private school friends, she could still message them. Margot walked into her room and dropped her bag by the door. She looked at her nightstand, expecting to see her laptop. It sat on her bed, messages open. It was moved. Rather, everything in her room had been moved around and sifted through.
Hello.
I'm here. Did you? Clara waved her hand. I'll put everything back. Margot had left Clara's book in her room so she could use her laptop. But she didn't exactly expect every notebook, magazine, and textbook she owned to be strewn across her floor. Margot clenched her jaw. Seems to be making herself at home. Margot laughed nervously. It's a bit more than my laptop. I thought there could be a clue somewhere. Something you overlooked. Margot picked up an open 17 magazine. Anything critical here? Clara wrung her hands together. Well, we were talking about how I need to catch up in the past 18 years, and I was curious. At the back of her mind, Margot was still stressed about the diaries laying around. She wasn't sure what Clara could have read, or what she thought of any of it. Oh, I'm just glad it wasn't the mom. Oh. But it seemed like they weren't making some progress. She couldn't antagonize her now. It's fine if you use the laptop or look at my magazines, but for my personal stuff, let's talk about that first, okay? Clara was uncharacteristically sheepish. Margot sat down. Find anything or anything you want to talk about? Clara held out a sketchbook. I found one of your drawings. It looks like the flower in your spirit photo. Margot looked at the page. It was the flower she drew while at the park with Beck. Oh yeah, I noticed that. I saw it at the park. Beck pointed it out. Clara glanced at it again. She did she? It's a weird coincidence, right? Beck did mention that this flower didn't normally grow in this part of the state. Did you find anything else?
No.
Nothing in particular. Margot's laptop dinged, signaling a new message. Clara turned to look at the screen. You should check that. Margot glanced at her laptop. There was a new message from Helen. Is he a good dad? Helen. She still needed to ask her mother about Helen. Margot turned to Clara. I think I need to talk to my mom about something. Something that I think will help us. Clara nodded. Her mother sat on the couch, leaning towards the television. Hush. My show is almost over. It only takes 45 minutes. Margot stood nearby, waiting for it to end. She checked her phone, hoping for some distraction. No new texts. Glancing up at the television, Margot wondered if the episode looked familiar. Her mother had a habit of making VHS tapes of her favorite shows. She often rewatched episodes. The credits rolled. Do you know someone named Helen? I got a message from a woman asking about Dad. Her mother took in a deep breath. Oh, come sit. Margot sat down on the other side of the couch. Her mother reached out and grabbed her hand. I have something very important to tell you. Margot furrowed her eyebrows. She shifted around. She didn't feel comfortable with her mother holding her hand. Before your father and I met, he was married and had a daughter. You've probably seen his painting of that little girl. Okay. This was all long before you were ever born. Well, that woman, his ex-wife, tried to ruin our lives. She insisted that her daughter come visit us one summer. I think they were both trying to set us up. The whole time that little girl stayed with us, she kept fussing about how bored and homesick she was. I heard her talking on the phone to her mother about how much she didn't like me, conspiring against us. Then, the next day, wouldn't you know it, CPS came knocking at our door to come get her. That little girl accused your father of assaulting her. Can you believe it? Margot fidgeted with her shirt in her free hand. It was so funny when the sprinklers went off on her and that CPS worker. Her bags were soaked. Joke's on that little girl. Doctors had to perform all these invasive examinations on her for the court case. All it did was prove that those two were liars. Her mother laughed. It felt like the contact with her hand was burning her. Bet she didn't expect that. Margot's stomach lurched. Why would her mother think that was funny? That woman and that little girl tried to take everything away from us. Don't you dare talk to her. That woman probably still wants child support. Margot had heard enough. Helen messaged me that her mom passed away years ago. Her mother raised an eyebrow. Oh. Good. What a bitch. She finally let go of Margot's hand. Margot rubbed her hand against her jeans. I guess you can talk to her then. Her mother turned back to the television and started to rewind the VHS tape. Margot stood up. A painting? It was getting dark, but Margot wanted to find the painting. Somehow, the shed was already filled with a new layer of spider webs and dust. She carefully looked through the stack of canvases. Eventually, she found one. It was an unfamiliar toddler sitting in a high chair. Or was this Helen? She couldn't tell, mentally comparing it to Helen's profile picture. Margot set it aside. In the back corner, there was a box of her father's old sketchbooks. She glanced over it, wiping the sweat off her brow. I should keep looking. Margot thought about what Clara said. She could keep looking through more things. Maybe there were more clues, drawings, photographs, something. Anything that could help her make sense of the dream she had. Margot flipped through the pages. Margot felt like throwing up. Her mouth tasted like acid. The drawings, they were disturbing. She hadn't seen this sketchbook before. So many of the drawings were graphic illustrations of women being assaulted. Strange things like centaurs attacking them. Between pages were newspaper clippings about grisly crimes in different cities. Did these articles serve as inspiration for his art? Margot threw it back in the box. The pages landed, newly bent and folded. Her hands felt dirty. Why did she bother looking beyond the first drawing? She felt so sick. Wednesday morning. She forgot to message her friends yesterday. When she finally sat up in bed, she focused on that thought. She grabbed her laptop. How's everyone's summer job? She didn't expect a response so early in the morning, but she was trying. Pushing aside her laptop, she lay back down to stare at the ceiling. Helen, the painting, the girl in her dream. The voice she heard in her dream mentioned wanting to go home. It also mentioned that there was someone she didn't like. Oh, yeah, maybe. Man. Let's talk to Clara about the dream. I think I found out something. I had a dream where I heard a girl's voice. Really? Do you know her? I'm not sure. It felt like I was watching a memory of something. I think I had a dream about maybe my half-sister? You have a sister? Well, the first time I'd ever heard of her was last night when I talked to my mom. She's been messaging me, but I haven't responded yet. You could try. See if she knows about these dreams, too. Margot checked the time. When she looked back up, Clara had disappeared. She still had a moment before she needed to get ready. She checked her laptop again. Maybe it was time to finally respond to Helen. I'm sorry to hear about your mom. Victor Silva is my dad. He died last month. It only took a moment for Helen to respond. Wow. I can't believe this. I'm really sorry. I wish I had messaged you sooner. I could have talked to him. What was he like? He kept to himself. He painted and read a lot. Margot closed her laptop. What more could she say? She briefly thought about her mother's story. Didn't Helen visit them? It sounded like she didn't remember that trip. Maybe like Margot, she also had a poor memory of her childhood. Margot couldn't blame her for forgetting. As Margot got ready, she thought about how nice it could be to have a new family member. Margot checked her phone at lunch. She had a text from Nikki. Hey, I had an idea. You told me about your friend, Beck? I want to meet her. You, me, and Beck should go shopping. Sure. Sounds fun. I can text her. KK, we could do Friday? I'll see what she says. Margot opened her texts with Beck. Wanna go to the mall with my friend Nikki and me? Yes! When? Does Friday work? Yep. Margot put her phone away. Margot sat in her room. It was quiet. Her mother was not home yet. Sometimes in the quiet, it would sound like two voices were in the living room. They would talk about what she did wrong that day. They would talk about what she did wrong when she was a toddler. It didn't matter. They'd go on and on throughout the whole night, talking about what a spiteful little bitch she is, how lucky she is to have them, how no one else would ever put up with this. No one would ever. She had a perfectly fine day. Why were her thoughts spiraling like this? Margot opened her laptop. She decided to look at Helen's profile more. There was a photo album that included messages wishing her daughter a happy 18th birthday. She had a daughter the same age as Margot. Would they have anything in common? It would be nice to be an aunt. There was a new message. Could I see some of his paintings? Sure, I'll see if I can take a photo of them later. My mom said he made one of you. Really? I'd love to see that. Could I talk to your mom? I wanted to ask her some things. I can ask. Margot felt uneasy. What would her mother say to Helen? Did Helen remember when she visited them after all? Margot wanted to turn the conversation around. Can you tell me more about yourself? It's not every day I found out I have a sister. Margot waited for a moment. The responses stopped. Margot looked around her room. It would be easier if she could just talk to her mother about Helen. Or talk to any adult about it honestly. There was Erica at work. There was Gina. But that would be unprofessional. Margot laughed a bit to herself. How about Danny? He seemed chatty. Or how about the woman from the New Age store? Maybe she'd be willing to chat with Margot about her half-sister, ghosts, Clara's book. Clara appeared, sitting next to Margot. You disappeared earlier. I assumed you didn't want me breathing over your shoulder while you typed. Fair, fair. Let's talk outside. I'd like a change of scenery. Clara and Margot wandered around the neighborhood a bit. There was an old park. It used to have rusted playground equipment and a sandbox. Years ago, the equipment was taken down to be replaced, but never was. Surrounding it were piles of sand, with warning signs around them not to trespass. There were some benches where parents used to sit to watch their children on the monkey bars. Clara sat down, folding her hands in her lap. What did you find out? I don't know. Nothing about the dream. More family stuff, I guess. Like what? My sister seemed pretty focused on wanting to talk to my mom. Yesterday, my mom told me some pretty upsetting stuff that happened to Helen. So, I wasn't sure if Helen didn't remember or wanted to confront my mom about it. I see. That was probably more detail than Clara wanted to hear. When they got back to Margot's room, Clara pulled something out of a drawer. Let's try this. Margot watched as Clara checked every corner of the room. She shut the door and closed the curtains. Margot slipped off her jacket. Clara held a match to what she was holding, an incense stick that Margot hadn't seen before. She placed it on Margot's nightstand, then turned to her. What is it? I want to see if we can induce a lucid dream. Clara's expression seemed more serious than it was earlier in the night. Maybe we can get a soul from your sister.
What?
What do you mean? Clara sat down on Margot's bed. Listen, I need you to have a soul so I can have a human body. And you need one so you won't face nothingness when you die. Margot's hands felt clammy.
Oh,
But what will happen to Helen if I get her soul? Wouldn't she be stuck too? It'll only be a fragment of it. But what will happen?
I don't know.
Since it's not the whole thing, she'll probably be fine. Maybe a bit listless. What about the ghost? You said it was dangerous. What exactly is it?
Well,
I believe it's a hungry ghost. Someone who is greedy in life. Now, they crave putrid things. Maybe that's why there have been grave robberies. Yes. They're usually only dangerous during the 7th lunar month. What do you think that means, then? It may be why you've only seen it in a dream. We have until September to figure out the ghost. In the meanwhile, I think it's another opportunity. Margot paced around. This doesn't feel right. Is this okay to do? What do you mean by okay? Morally, right? Clara looked slightly amused. No one is keeping count. She patted the bed next to her. Come lay down. Margot obliged. The moment her head hit the pillow, it felt like the room was spinning. Her doubts were still there, but her thoughts felt dulled and muddied. Stay focused on the sensation of your body and the smell of the incense. Her stomach turned, nausea building. Before she fell asleep, she thought about what Clara said. No one is keeping count. Ooh, we're back in the apartment. Every time Margot turned her head, it felt like the room was slow motion moving around her. It almost felt like a normal dream. Walking around, she felt like her feet were sinking in the sand. Every step was met with resistance. Today, something was different about the apartment. The walls were covered in photographs. They were of a family she didn't recognize. No, I don't regret anything. Safe? Safe from what? Do you honestly believe that? Interesting way to express that. It's not my plan. I have to. I've never had options. Margot tried to focus. Where was Clara? Who was she talking to? Margot tried to remember why she was here and what she was doing. Clara said to find the girl, her sister, Helen. You need to take part of her soul. Ugh. I have to do this. It must be done. There's no way around it. Margot had to piece together a new soul for herself and Clara. Clara said it wouldn't hurt them, her sister or the ghost. This was the only way to make sure no one would be hurt. Regardless, Margot needed to find her. If she was in Margot's dreams, there was a chance the ghost wasn't too far away either. If she could, Margot wanted to protect her and figure out what was going on with her, but what if the ghost was already here? Who could that be who Clara was talking to? Let's find Clara. Why do you want to find her? I don't know. I'm curious what will happen, I guess. Seems a bit invasive, does it not? Clara is reluctant to open up in person, so why not see what she says when she feels cornered and scared? That's fine, though. She's ready to see the end of this. Helen would be okay, right? With Clara, maybe they could do more together to reach out to her. Margot looked around. Where was Clara? This is ridiculous. I don't have anything to apologize for. There was a painting in the room. She could only see the back of the canvas propped up against a table. Margot trudged over to it. With each step, it felt like her feet were sinking more and more into the floor. She got close enough to peer around it. Clara sat in front of it, glaring. She didn't seem to notice Margot at all. Margot glanced from her to the painting. It was her father's painting of Helen, a dark-haired toddler in a high chair.
Clara?
What do you see? Who are you talking to? Clara's attention snapped to Margot. It's nothing. Nothing at all. She stood up, smoothing out her skirt. She didn't seem to have the same issues with moving around that Margot had. Let's find her. The ghost is trying to waste my time. Clara hurried along down the hallway to the bedroom door. Margot followed slowly, her feet continuing to stick with each step. At the door, Clara took the frames off the wall. She flipped them around, checking the backs. When she was done, she tucked them under her arm. Shouldn't you put those back?
No.
We'll need them. Who's there? Margot spun around to face the direction the voice came from. I'm Margot. You've been messaging me. Messaging? What does that mean? She heard papers rustling. Can you open the door? I can't find my photos. I'm trying to make a photo album, but I can't find my photos anywhere. Clara looked at the photographs on the wall. If you open the door, I can help you find them. I can't find them. Where could they be? Where? I think that's enough. Shouldn't I try to get into the room? Margot's feet were embedded in the ground. Clara shook her head. We've heard enough. Thursday after work. Can't believe I'm doing this. What made her think the shop owner would want to talk to her? She seemed nice enough, but it was probably just for customer service. After the incense making her throw up in the morning, the dream she had last night, Margot felt like she was at the end of her rope. Margot placed her hand on the shop door. She sighed to herself, pushing it open. People make small talk all the time, don't they? Once she was inside, the shop felt different to her. Maybe it was her anxiety about talking to the owner, but there was something specific. It smelled like Clara's incense. Could she have gotten it here? How would she have done that? Let's try asking her for advice. You know what? We're shooting our shot at getting some adult-like insight. Let's do it. Margot gritted her teeth. She hadn't fully figured out how to start the conversation. Nice to see you again, Margot. Yeah. I assume your craft project turned out well? Oh, yeah, it looks great. Lovely. Tell me what you need. Did you get a new incense for the store? Oh, yes, it's a new import. Would any of it help with sleeping? Possibly sandalwood.
Okay.
Does it help with, nightmares? I assume you're too young to have sleep issues. Stressed about college, I guess. I see. We can talk about it. If that's okay. Of course. Well, I'm worried about my family when I leave for college. I found out I have a new cousin that I didn't know about before, and I've been having stressful dreams about her. I see. You haven't expressed this to her? I guess not. Try talking to her, see if that helps. In the meanwhile, the incense should help calm your nerves. The owner smiled. I suppose I should count on you being a regular. Yeah, maybe. She nodded to Margot. Until next time, then. Oops, throwing my phone on the ground. Same to you, Teresa. Margot smiled. Same to you, Teresa. Evening. Margot checked her laptop. Maybe Teresa was right. She could try asking Helen about the dreams. Did she know they were happening? Margot considered her options. First, she wanted to check the group chat. We're doing a little road trip before 4th of July. Then, I'm working in the lab after that. Cool. Where are you going? Roswell wanted to take pics with an alien. I don't think there's any actual aliens there. That's what I tried to tell her. Hey, weren't you the one who wanted to see the thing? I needed answers. What was it? You'll have to see for yourself. Margot switched to her conversation with Helen. She needed to focus. There was a response. Not a lot to say about me. I looked at your photos. Looks like you do a lot of school activities. Guess I wasted my time with the wrong crowd when I was your age. My mom was a real witch. Did Dad help you with school? Margot remembered her first day at her private school. Her mother was angry and refused to drive her there. Margot begged her. Her dorm room, classes, food, everything was covered by scholarship. All she had to do was drive her there. Finally, her father said he'd do it. Ugh. Ugh. This is all so familiar. Oof. Unpacking and setting up her room was fine. On the way out? I guess so. Can I ask you something? Have you had any weird dreams lately? Man, is this slowly becoming the story of what the hell happened to her eye? Yeah, that's what made me want to find Dad. Oh, fascinating. I kept having dreams about him. In them, I'm a kid. It's the weirdest thing. Really? Me too. Margot shut her computer. You might want to clarify, you've been having dreams in which you, Helen, are a kid. Doesn't that seem like it's a little bit of a vital, detail to bring up? She wanted to stop thinking about her father. On the way out, he leaned over and kissed her on the neck. She shivered, feeling sick. She hated feeling like her neck was too exposed. Oh, I don't like that Dad's a creep. Maybe it was time to really talk to her mother about this. About creep Dad or Helen? What exactly are we talking to the mom about here? Mom seems like the type to blame Dad's victims. I guess we've already kind of witnessed that with her, like, gloating over Helen. Ugh. 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 In the living room, Margot's mother was in front of the television. She was watching the news. I looked up that little girl. Margot was surprised. Helen has a criminal record. Apparently, she likes to drive drunk. She messaged me today. Margot's mother turned to her and gave her a stern look. Don't give that little girl my address. I'm not paying her a dime. Margot turned away. Yeah. Well, that wasn't the plan, but okay, Ma. She went back to her room.
Margot.
In her hands were 2 picture frames. Your mother plans to head out tonight to stay at Danny's.
Okay.
Margot glanced at the picture frames again. Are those? How is that possible? These? They're the ones from my dream. Well, yeah, duh. I said I'd need them. I guess. Spooky things occurring. Spooky things occurring.
Yes.
We need the photos for them.
How?
How is that even possible? Clara smiled a little. Out of everything, this is what surprises you? Yeah. She set the frames down. Okay, I guess out of things like I was a cat and now I'm not, maybe dream picture frames isn't the most. I'm a bit frustrated with myself for not being more in control. Yeah, that was a little weird. You sure were arguing with nothing. What was up with that? But we managed. If we get the photos that Helen wants, I believe she'll open the door. The photos that Helen wants. I don't know. Is there a likelihood that they're actually in the shed there, though? What if that's what we want?
Okay.
So we just need to wait for my mom to leave, right? Then we could look through her photo albums. Exactly. Since we need to wait anyway, I wanted to ask you something.
What?
Well, it seemed like you had a really tense conversation with somebody in the dream? Yeah, that's true. That was happening. Who was it? Are you okay? My father. Her voice lowered. I've been making so many mistakes. I feel stupid. It was such an obvious trick. I don't know what he looks like, let alone his voice. Who do you think it was, then? That ghost playing with us. Oh, well, let's assure her you're not stupid. Something is going on with that ghost, and it's able to manipulate people. You, me, my sister. I mean, I don't know what the necessary odds are that, Clara is yet another half-sister, but maybe. I'm not discounting anything at this point.
Right.
You're right. Just don't remember how it knows anything about me or anyone else. How is it able to get in our heads? I don't think that's normally anything a hungry ghost can do. Well, this one is her daddy, it sounds like. That he's a little bit, questionable. God, is our daddy just like a bad toucher? Or is he also like a serial killer? Please let the crime obsession not be that they were his crimes. Please? Maybe? 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 Ugh. I don't get it. From the other room, Margot heard the front door slide and click shut. Clara picked up the picture frames. Let's go! Her mother's room was dark. The curtains were always drawn closed. Clara stood in the middle, surveying it. I think the photo albums are in the closet? Margot slid open the door. On the top shelf sat a small white box. She left it alone. Margot had a feeling she knew what it was. Huh, I wonder what it is. Below, there were large cardboard boxes. She opened the first box. She jumped back at the sound of roaches skittering. You have to keep looking. I know. Tentatively, Margot looked again. It was full of bank statements. She carefully put it back, checked a second box. This one was full of photo albums. Margot remembered seeing them when she was little. You're right. Fascinating. She flipped through the pages. I mean, ashes? Ashes, maybe? Is that what the small white box is supposed to be implying? The ye old cremains? Pictures from vacations her parents took from before she was born. Pictures of the farm in California that her mother grew up on. Her mother's favorite horse. Old letters from family that didn't immigrate, still on some faraway island. Margot examined them for a moment. The cursive on the faded pages was impossible to read. She couldn't tell if it was English or Portuguese, let alone what it said. She tucked it back in between 2 pages of black and white photographs. Seeing every page used to its full extent, it particularly stood out when Margot found an empty page. It had nothing but a couple of torn, sticky spots.
Huh?
That's weird. Interesting. Margot flipped through it some more. Another empty page. I'm guessing those are the photos we need. Great. We can check the other photo albums? We can try. Just worried about her noticing. Her living room. The television was on. Margot looked at the television, trying to figure out what was on it. Her mother sat motionless, leaning forward in her seat. It was a movie. A group of women immigrated to the United States. As they grew up, they stayed in contact. They had daughters. Those daughters grew up, considering each other sisters. I wonder where my daddy is. Margot looked around. She didn't see her. I haven't heard from him in years. Do you know what happened to him? Why can't I remember anything? You wouldn't want to see him. Her mother didn't look up. Of course I want to see him. My mom made up so many lies about him. But look at you. You're going to college. I bet I could have done that too if he was in my life. Margot thought about what her mother told her, about the assault accusations. I think he did something to you. Oof. Maybe blocked out? Margot couldn't block out the intrusive image of the centaur drawing in the shed. Worse still, she couldn't block out the memory of him trying to show her something on the computer. She shook her head, glancing at her unmoving mother. Whatever was on the television somehow frightened Margot as much as her thoughts. Ugh. It must have been really hard for you. You shouldn't blame yourself for something like that. Of course I blame myself. I'm the one who got punished. Everyone got mad at me. Oh, poor little baby. Fucked up. Fucked up. No likey. Helen. Baby. I'm not mad at you. We could still get to know each other. Margot walked closer to her mother and the television. I don't know. I don't want to know what's on the TV, though. I don't want to know what's on the TV. Just a little... How could she not react to any of this? Why doesn't she care? Margot looked at her closely. In her hands were the photographs. Ugh. Why don't you care? Why doesn't any of this seem to faze you? Why don't you react to anything? Margot's breath quickened. She wanted to grab the shoulders of the woman in front of her. Because truly, Jesus Christ. Shake her until she had any reactions at all. He's not alive anymore. What's the point of continuing to side with him? Nothing. She continued to sit, leaning forward, her full focus on the television. God, fucking one fear what these photographs are then. One fear what these photographs are then. Margot waved her hand in front of her face. It felt like she had a child again, wanting her mother to react to her coming home from school. Nothing at all. There was no point talking to her, was there? Margot needed the photos regardless. Take the photographs? I have to. Slowly, carefully, Margot approached her. She reached out and grasped the missing photographs. Now, she just had to pull them away. You're always ripping things out of my hands. Grab, grab, grab. That's all that you do. Margot covered her mouth with her free hand to stop from screaming. Her other hand still clutched the free edge of the photos. She wouldn't talk to me. Margot tried. She really did. She could have asked, but her mother wouldn't answer her. Margot pulled as hard as she could, afraid the photos would tear. Oof. See? I knew it. I knew the mom was the type to, accuse the abused of stealing her man. Margot sat down with Gina in the lobby. How's your reading going? Quite well. Thanks, Gina. The first time I heard about this book, it was quite sensationalized. In the 60s, I was already a bit too old for it all, but I heard about people using drugs for religious experiences. Margot felt a bit shocked to hear Gina talk about that. The only adults she could think of who ever mentioned drugs around her were dare officers or her father. How did this book relate to drugs? There's a guidebook for LSD based off it. Oh, sick! I suppose because it describes what people see when they die. But there's different liminal states between life, death, and rebirth, where a person can have different visions. Liminal states? Yes, it mainly describes the ones between death and rebirth. But it also mentions that life, meditation, and dreaming are liminal states. Apparently, lucid dreaming can be beneficial. For what? For preparing for death. Maybe at Gina's age it was easier to be more candid. Talking about lucid dreaming reminded her of the photographs in her bag that she, somehow, was able to grab from her dream. It was time to go to the mall. Nikki was late. Hey, have you heard from Nikki? No, this is normal. Want to wait at mine? Okay. I'll text her that we're there. After waiting a bit, Beck came by and picked up Margot. At Beck's place, they went to the backyard.
Hey!
This is distinctly an Arizona backyard. I will give it that. Man.
Yeah.
Anything from Nikki yet? Still getting ready. Beck rolled her eyes and gestured to some patio chairs. Well, we can catch up while we wait. Margot sat down, but felt stiff. She kept thinking over and over. Clara warned her about Beck, that something seemed off. Why was Beck interested in any of this? I wanted to ask you something first. Sure. Why have you been so interested in what's going on with me? To help you. But, like, why? Yeah. And how? Beck looked pensive. She leaned forward in her seat. How do I put it? With the blood bond stuff and seeing what goes on in your life, it got me thinking. Exactly how connected are we? If I'm able to be in your dreams and you're being threatened by some ghost thing, does that mean I'm in danger too? I could say I wanted to help you out of the goodness of my heart, but maybe you wouldn't believe that, so is it okay if I help you? For both our sakes? Yeah, I mean...
Yeah.
I don't think they've hurt so far. Suddenly, Margot could hear a car horn. It was getting more and more persistent. Her phone buzzed. Oh, Nikki's here. And Nikki's car? Margot sat next to Nikki. Beck, after pushing aside from old food wrappers, sat in the back. Nikki looked in the rearview mirror. Hey, Beck. Nice to meet you. Same to you. Margot said you used to live here. How's it feel to be back? Weird. Feels like things haven't changed much. On the road, Nikki started making small talk. Beck, where'd you live before moving back? All over the place. I was in Scottsdale with my dad before coming here. For that, I was in San Diego for a while. Both my parents worked there. Wow. You going to college too? Yeah, looks like I'm going back to California end of the summer. Like Margot. There's a lot of good schools there. Margot sensed that things felt a little tense. Was there anything you wanted to shop for? Thinking about new earrings. I want a new piercing. Food. Is that shopping? Beck shrugged. I'm hungry. Nikki led the group to their first stop. The jewelry shop had a few teens meandering around with their parents. Beck, you have a lot of piercings. Yep. Did most of them myself. Okay, well... Clicked outside the window. I was thinking about getting a lip ring too. Do you think it looked good on me? Beck analyzed Nikki's face for a moment.
Nope.
No. Nikki's expression fell. I think a nose ring would look way better. Really? I'll see what there is. Maybe there's a piercing shop nearby. Nikki wandered to some other displays in the store. With Beck, Margot looked around the store. Beck absentmindedly looked at ear tunnels and plugs. After a while, they left the shop. Nikki had a small bag in hand. I think it's close time. You're insatiable. We looked at clothes a week ago. 2 weeks? Nikki veered towards the department store. Beck and Margot trailed behind. At the entrance of the store were various cosmetics and jewelry displays. Beck glanced around. Huh. Friendship bracelets.
Huh?
There's a set for making macrame bracelets. Have you ever made those? A couple of times in middle school. These look fancier, though. Right? I didn't know fancy ones existed. Come on, slowpokes. Margot looked at the bracelets. You two go ahead. I'm gonna check out something over here. Beck whimpered a bit. I hate clothes shopping. Come on, you can help me pick stuff. Beck begrudgingly followed. Margot went over to where she saw the display. They weren't too expensive, and it was something she could make herself. That felt like a nice gift. Different types of rope and beads were on display. Margot considered what to get. Oh, man. Ugh. You're making me choose? Making me choose. We're here with Beck, so Beck feels more appropriate. Margot quickly made her purchase and put it in her backpack. Walking back over to Beck and Nikki, Margot idly wondered what those two would talk about. Nikki loved to gossip. Margot was a little afraid of what the gossip could be. She found them. A giant pile of clothing in Beck's arms. Beck looked up at Margot. Help. It's not that bad. Margot came over. I just asked her if she could help pick and carry stuff. I hate it. She also keeps asking me. Shh! That's between us. Beck rolled her eyes. I'm choosing the next store. After walking outside the mall, they got to the hardware store nearby. Outside of the gardening supply area, Nikki and Margot settled into the lawn chairs on display.
Are you kidding me?
You two are gonna sit outside? Yeah. Your loss. Beck turned and went in. Nikki leaned over to watch her walk in, waiting for her to disappear around the corner. Once Beck was out of sight, she turned to Margot with a grave expression. So, I have terrible news.
What?
I think it's obvious. Beck doesn't like you. What does that mean? She's not interested in dating? Why are you bringing this up? Oh, because I asked her if she likes you.
What?
Why? Nikki shrugged. I wanted to know. Jeez. So, do you like her? Ugh. Is this about that rumor at school? Come on, just tell me. We could take the, I'm not interested in anyone? I guess I'd be a little into Clara.
Well,
I've been busy hanging out with someone else. Really? Have I met her? Margot sighed. There's an assumption there. But no, you haven't met her. Nikki smirked. What's her name? When can I meet her? Does she like you back? I don't think so. So I was right. Oh my gosh. This means you're coming out, right? Margot covered her face with her hands. Is that the sort of thing we should get a cake for? Please, no. Her voice was muffled by her hands. Forget I said anything. Jeez, you're no fun. Margot looked up to see Beck walking out of the store, a large bag over her shoulder. Hope you two had a nice gossiping session about me. Nikki huffed. No. Yeah, we did. Is it food time yet? Oh, sweet, sweet food court. Beck insisted on hamburgers. After everyone sat down their trays, Beck dug around in her bag and pulled out some medication. What's that? Medication? For what? For me. Margot noticed the giant pickle pouch Beck bought. What's up with that pickle? It's a hot pickle! Margot, have you never had a hot pickle? No. What is it? A spicy pickle. They're so good. Margot looked over and noticed Nikki also had a hot pickle. This is gross. Does that mean you don't want your pickle spear? Hey, Margot. Margot turned around to see Jade. Can I sit with you all? Sure. Jade sat down and excitedly turned to Margot. Jade also had a hot pickle. I saw a rumor online. Utada is touring in the US next year. They're gonna be in Los Angeles. I'm really trying to figure out if I can see them. That's so cool. Yeah, I guess I know what I'm saving up for now. Would you want to go? I don't know, it really depends. But keep me updated. Getting over her initial excitement, Jade greeted Nikki. Then she turned to Beck. Hey, have we met somewhere before? You look familiar. Have you been to the theater?
Yeah.
That must be it then. Oh, this is my friend, Beck. Interesting. So maybe Beck isn't the one that was arguing with the boyfriend, whatever his name was. Hey, nice to meet you. Beck smiled. Same to you. Oh my god, we're all best friends now. Kraken, come on. Hey, Jade. You have a nose piercing. Yeah? What's up? Did it hurt? I guess. Piercings always hurt. Huh. Margot turned to Nikki, just in time to see her drink the pickle brine. Blech. Nikki dropped off Margot first. Margot sighed to herself, realizing it was so Nikki could gossip more with Beck. She could only guess at what text she would get as a result. Margot walked up the porch steps, absent-mindedly digging her keys out of her bag. At the door, she heard the sound of a page being turned. Margot turned to see Clara sitting on the edge of the porch, her legs dangling off the side. She had one of Margot's magazines open in her lap. Getting some fresh air?
Mhm.
I would if I could. Margot put her keys in her bag and sat down next to Clara. Did you want to put together the picture frames tonight? Maybe tomorrow. Margot peered over at the article Clara was looking at. It was a spread about prom. That interesting, huh? Clara shook her head. Not really. I'm thinking. About what? It's nothing. I'm wasting time. So are you. Clara set the magazine aside and stood up. She seemed to be muttering to herself. If we don't focus, there won't be a future anyway. She slid the door closed behind her, leaving Margot alone outside. Margot looked down at the magazine. Future? What was it that made Clara particularly tense tonight? Ugh. I don't know. Getting nervous. Margot woke up to the sun shining through her window. She heard a light sigh. Margot rolled over. Clara seemed focused on something in her book, her eyebrows furrowed. Clara looked up.
Hey.
You're at it early. Margot sat up. Clara had been in a strange mood since last night. You know, I've been making time to help you. I have a job and other responsibilities. I need time to relax. Clara shook her head, looking back down at her book. Margot rolled over. Where did she go wrong? Somehow, with Clara there, Margot felt lonelier. Sorry, I got in a fight with a drawer. Margot's phone buzzed. She glanced at it. The message was from Nikki. You should have hung out with us! Beck pierced my nose. What? Are you serious? Yeah, lol. Your nose is gonna fall off. I knew you would say that. Anyway, Beck is really cool. We should hang out with her more. Even if Margot and Beck weren't close, she was happy to see that Nikki got along with her. But, considering the impromptu piercing, maybe they got along too well. Where are the photos? They're in my bag. Margot unzipped her bag and grabbed the photographs and frames. She placed them across her bed. I guess I need to give these to Helen? Seems that way. Are you ready to do that tonight? I guess. Clara had talked about wanting to take part of Helen's soul. Margot didn't know what other option there was. But what was really going on? Margot picked up her laptop. I'm gonna see if I got any more messages from her first. I asked if she noticed anything weird lately. Margot glanced over the messages. Yeah, the auto seems to make the texts and the emails go by way too fast, so. There were multiple, with a new one sent every few hours. Some were from the middle of the night, with the most recent one sent that morning. I'm going to visit you. Then I can talk to your mom in person. Maybe I can take some of the paintings home with me? Some of your photos on your profile mention your school. You must live nearby, right? How about next weekend? Oh, is this your address? Margot shut her laptop. Her heart was thudding. How did Helen have her address? Was she actually going to show up? Margot turned to Clara. Yeah. Let's do this tonight. The sooner, the better. Uh-oh. Is Helen a little cray-cray? Is Helen a little cray-cray? Oh boy. Oh boy. Margot was back in the apartment. She held the 2 assembled frames and photographs. Near the door, an assortment of thumbtacks and nails were jammed into the wall, same as last time. Which... did it matter where she hung the frames? She looked around for a moment, then placed them. The lock clicked. The bedroom door creaked open. Her hand hesitated at the door. Was she alone? She didn't want to be alone for this. With the slightest touch of her hand, the door slowly swung open. She walked inside. In the middle of the room sat a girl. Maybe she did look like the painting aged up, or the user profile aged down. Margot couldn't decide. In front of the girl were torn up family photographs. She weakly brushed her hands against them in a passive effort to reassemble them. I have a daughter your age. We haven't talked for a couple years. She got a job and moved out when she was 16. You also moved out when you were 16, right? Well, I want to prove I can be a good mom. I'm better than my mom, so I don't know what my daughter is mad at me about. She doesn't know how bad it can be. She doesn't realize how hard it was to raise her alone. I guess I pushed her away. Things never worked out with her dad. I was so young when I had her. My mom would tell me I was the reason Dad left. I believed that. So I played it out over and over until I had no family left. There was one day I looked in the mirror. I got these forehead and eye creases. I find new patches of gray hair every day. I have these sunspots in my cheeks that won't go away. I'm so tired and forgetful. You know what I realized? Standing in the bathroom of my studio apartment? Your young years are meant to be spent making connections, making close family and friends. That way, you're not going to die alone in the fucking bathroom of your studio apartment. So you don't end up in the newspaper because they found you 3 months later. My gray hairs represent every moment I wasted by driving away someone who could have been there for me. Now I'm old. That's it. You don't realize that when you're young, but you realize it when you get the gray hairs. Helen stood up, but did not look at Margot. She walked past her to the doorway. Carefully, she removed the frames from the wall and slipped out the photographs. She walked back in, sat down in her previous spot. Her hands busily tore up the photographs as she stared into the distance. Why? Why was she tearing up the photographs? Margot could have kept them. She should have asked what Helen intended to do with them. I got a second chance. I saw Dad in a dream. He said all I need is family. My daughter doesn't like me? Forget it. Me and Dad can be together now. Those photos should have been all that remained of him. But he's dead. Helen looked up at Margot. Her eyes were dark. She smiled. No, he's right here. And he wants the 3 of us all together. Isn't that nice? I'll come visit you and get his ashes. She stood up again. Then we can be one. She walked towards Margot. Margot backed up towards the doorway. I don't want that. Then who will you have left, Margot? You can only trust your family. Margot shook her head. Helen's pace quickened. Margot panicked. She ran to the door, slamming it shut behind her. Sunday morning. Margot paced around her bedroom with her phone. She half expected a call from Helen.
Hmm?
She's coming here? She
Yeah.
said that? Yeah, she messaged me that. She said that in my dream. We need to act tonight then. How do we guarantee the ghost shows up? The incense. It makes me feel sick. I don't think it really works anyway. When had it shown up before? When Beck was here. Oh. If Clara was right, Beck was also at risk of nothingness. Beck needs to come over. The ghost showed itself when the 3 of us were here together. We can figure something out without her. Margot shook her head. No, she knows this is dangerous for her, too. She needs to be involved. Stubborn. Well, maybe, but I guess if it's the closest we got to a lead, let's roll with it. Margot rolled her eyes. She pulled up her text with Beck. Don't you need to ask your mother first? Oh, no. My mother will definitely say no, so that's unimportant. This was busted. Margot looked up. Yeah. Ugh. Unfortunately. Margot sat on the brick fence, watching Beck's car pull up to the park. Beck got out and walked over to Margot. She hopped onto the fence and sat next to Margot. Waiting on me? Little bit. Little waiting on. Margot glanced behind her at the trailer, just in time to see her mother move away from the window. I wanted to talk to you before going in. Beck tilted her head. About the ghost situation, right?
No.
No, about the mom situation. I guess about staying over? My mom doesn't like me having people over. And, stuff is broken. It's kind of embarrassing, but I can help you with how stuff works in the bathroom. There's a can you need to fill with water and pour that into the toilet. Beck looked confused. Hey, it's fine. Let's head inside. Beck turned around the fence and hopped off. Margot reluctantly followed. The two of them stood on the porch. Before Beck could knock, Margot's mother slid open the door. Her hand hung awkwardly in the air before she switched to offering a handshake. It's nice to meet you. Thanks for letting me stay over. Margot's mother ignored the handshake, instead focusing on Margot. Are you going to behave?
Yes.
If you don't, your little friend will have to go home.
Yes.
I started a new job, so I need to sleep early. Do not wake me up.
Yes.
And I won't drive her home if she gets homesick.
Yes.
She gets culture shock. I don't want to hear any complaints.
Yes.
And I'm not paying any babysitting
Yes.
fees. Her mother stepped aside, sat down in front of the television. Her shows were playing. Margot hurried Beck to her room. Once Margot closed the door, Beck turned around and stared at her. Beck's voice was an uncertain whisper. What the fuck was that? What is she even talking about? What? Oh. Nikki stayed over one time and wanted to go home early, so my mom had to drive her. And how old were you at that time? 11? Are you mad at me? Never mind. After a moment of explanation, they sat down on the floor in a circle. Okay, let me make sure I understand. There's a ghost, a demon, and Margot doesn't have a soul, so we're trying to find the ghost? Yes. And how did the soul stuff come up? Margot reached into her bag and pulled out the photograph Clara had taken. She passed it to Beck. Clara said this photo shows that it's missing. Beck looked at it, furrowing her eyebrows. Okay. What do we do then? I have some ideas. Margot frowned. She knew what Clara was going to say. You want me to get a fragment of a soul. Right. Huh? What does that mean? Margot needs to cut away a piece of someone's soul to rebuild her own. It's for the benefit of all three of us. As long as Margot doesn't have a soul, we're in danger of being stuck in nothingness. And what exactly does that mean? Clara sighed. Because Margot's soul belongs to the demon, so does ours. When she dies, we die. There won't be an afterlife for us because the demon will be using us. Because of our blood bond. Yes. So, Margot, we either get it from the ghost or from your sister. This feels so wrong. Margot stared down at her lap. Beck, you think it's messed up to take a piece of someone's soul, right? Margot glanced up at Beck. Their eyes met.
Take it from the ghost.
What?
Come on, think about it. It's like a movie monster. If we keep running, it'll catch us first.
Really? That's your reasoning?
It's kind of solid, you know what? Beck's expression was too serious. What are you really thinking? Who do you think the ghost is? Well, I don't know is, not all the way. I got a suspicion.
How could I know?
I have a guess.
I do too. Margot looked between both of them.
So, what? What am I supposed to do with that? Do you think I should take his soul to get back at him or something? That I should be worse than him? Do you both think that's the kind of person I am?
No.
Not at all.
No.
That's not what I meant.
Okay.
What do I need to do? Clara nodded to Margot's nightstand. You have a knife. You have a knife? Yeah. Margot leaned across Beck, opening the nightstand drawer. Beck moved away as Margot pulled out a knife in a leather sheath. Where did you get that? It was his. Oh. What do I need to do with it? We need to prepare it for cutting the soul. Physically? Yes, like an organ. Why did your dad have a knife like that? Clara stood up, setting up the incense. Margot sighed. Hate that stuff. Well, the first step is you need to pass the knife through the incense. Margot got up. She approached the incense, holding up the knife. She slowly swiped it through. Like this?
Yes.
Now, you need to cut your hair with it. Margot took a small clump of her hair and hacked off the tip. She held the hair in her hand. Place your hair and the knife under your pillow. It'll be ready for tonight. Margot nodded, placing everything under her pillow. Your knife will only be usable in your dreams. You won't be able to cut anything normally with it. Evening. Well, well, well. And yet we are at the end of stream time. Sticking with the one save. You know what? Multiple saves? Cowards. Cowards who can't live with their decisions. Alright, well. We will be back at this tomorrow. Bright and early. This is all I got on the docket for tomorrow.